Welcome to another Too Tall Toby practice model example created in IronCAD. This one is dated 6/6/2024. This is a receiver file. Interesting model. It basically has some cylinders here on the bottom, a chamfer, and a lofted shape essentially between these cylinders and a slot at the top. And it has a guide curve here, and we'll show you how to do this. Don't really necessarily need a guide curve for that. If you wanted to do a sweep with two profiles and a guide, you could do that as well, but I'll show you how to do this just with a simple loft inside of here, and some reference information as it gives you the information for the slot. It doesn't give you the height of that slot. That's calculated based off of this 30-degree angle, so you have to do a little calculation there, as well as for this 45-degree here. This is just a chamfer between the two of these, so you have 80 and 55, subtract that. You have 35 divided by 2, that's just a chamfer there. So very simple. And then some other key things to note is you have some different wall thicknesses for the shell. So you have a 10 millimeter here and a 6 millimeter and 10 millimeter shape here. So this 10 millimeter is actually due to adding these other shapes to the bottom. Otherwise, it's just a 6 millimeter at the top. So everything else is 3 millimeters. So let's hop over to IronCAD and show you how to build this model. So we'll start with the cylinder and drag and drop it out. We'll start at the bottom of the shape, so we know it's got an 80 diameter and a 62 height for that shape. Next, we'll go ahead and add the next one on top of that as well. So we'll go ahead and add that one, which we know has a diameter of 55 inside of there, and we know that the distance from the bottom point of this guy has actually got a total value of 100 inside of there. And as we mentioned, this is the distance of 35 divided by 2. We're just going to do a chamfer on that, so we're just going to select that edge, right click and do chamfer edge at a 1250 to give us that 45-degree angle there. Next, we'll go ahead and drop a cylinder right here on the bottom. I'm holding the shift key and hitting that edge. It's going to drop it on the bottom for me, because I can simply just rotate this around 90 degrees, and it's going to move it up, which we set has a value from the bottom is 25 on there. And we know, since on the center of this guy, since I just rotated about the center and moved it up, I know the distance, the total distance of that is actually 53, so I can set that as well. So there we go. We can build that shape initially. And next, we're going to go ahead and drop our slot feature on here. And in this case, we know the overall length of this guy is 200, and the width of that is 70. And again, we don't know the height, but we do know that we know the top of this to the bottom here. So we'll just basically use our TriBall again, move it up to the top by hitting the space bar, move it up, and then we can do an edit distance from the bottom point here, and we know that distance is 182 to move that up to the top. So there we have our location. So now we just need to find the depth, and to do that, we're just going to use a sketch here. So we'll just go into our home here. We'll draw a 2D profile. We'll place it right here. So pick normal to face. We'll pick that point. We place it there. We have our X direction. If we want to be specific, we can say that you want the X direction along that edge there, and place that and hit OK to drive that. Next, we're just going to draw a polyline from our outside point, and we're just going to drag it up to some distance here, and I'm going to right click, and we know the angle actually is 30 degrees on that, so we'll just drive that to 30 degrees. And next we can actually just project this geometry up here, and we'll get rid of this curve we don't need, and we'll just extend this down to that point. So we're going to use this point as our height value. That's the intersection essentially. So we'll just go ahead and select that as finished, and we'll just move this down to this point here and place that. So that gives us our exact height. And now we can simply just do a loft, and our loft is going to be between these two features here. So we're going to pick that face there and our face there to loft that shape. So a very easy way to do that, and that will give us our shape inside of there. So this is just a reference geometry here. You can hide this if you like, so you can get to your real geometry. Next, we need to do some other modifications, which is our shelling features. So let's go ahead and shell this, and then we can add our cuts to this. So go ahead and shell this part. We can hit the shell part command, and we're going to select this the open faces, to which are going to be this face here is going to be open, and this face here is going to be open, and normally it's going to be 3 millimeter thickness. We want to change the outside thickness of this to be 10 millimeter, so we'll type 10 millimeter for that one, and then we'll pick this top one, and we'll make sure we get that highlighted. Make sure which one we got selected. There we go. That's the 10 millimeter on the side. This one's on the top. We want 6 millimeters for that, and hit OK. So that will give us our shell inside of there with our different thicknesses. Next, we just need to put our holes on the top, and we're going to have to reorder these, so I'll show you how to do that as well. But we're going to put a cylinder here in the middle, and that's got a diameter of 25. This one over here has got one of 35, so we'll go ahead and type that one as 35, and we can copy with a TriBall or just drag another one out. either way it would work. That was 35 as well. Next, we need to add the other cylinders on the bottom. So we're going to hold our shift key down, drag and drop it onto this edge. That'll put us in the center inside of there, and that diameter of that one is 55, and it's got a depth of, we want to add 4 basically to that, because it's got 6 plus 4 give us the 10 millimeter diameter. So we'll take that feature there, and we'll use the TriBall, and we're just going to make copies along the plane here. So we'll just right click to center point, and we're going to right click on this edge and make a link there, and we'll go do the same thing again to center point to here, and we'll right click and just make a copy because it's going to have a different size. So these two are 55 on that. This one actually has a different value, which is 45 for that one. And now we can come back to our shapes here. We want to make sure that these aren't cutting through, so we're going to pull these two up, make sure they're not cutting through into that bottom edge here. This one's cutting in the middle, that's fine, ain't going to hit anything. But anyways, these two, since you notice they're not cutting that geometry, you need to apply these last. So we can just right click on these and say apply last, and that's just moving the feature tree, the feature in the tree to the last. So now we have our cuts there. So that's essentially all it takes to build this model, and if you want to, you can always use our feature command, our section part tool, and you can place that on our center point here, or on an edge. If you want to do another quick way to do it is select your part first, hit that, and then it should allow you to, oh sorry, this is stretch. Let me go to our section tool, which is on our home, I think it's on our tools ribbon, there we go. There we go, I want to section the part, not stretch, sorry, picked that wrong, there we go. That's our section plane. Let's reverse it here and hit OK, and you can see that geometry there. So this has got our 10 millimeter, 6 millimeter with these extra geometries here, which gives a total length of 10, and there's our 30-degree angle on our model as well. So that's just a highlighted preview of that model. Now we can go into our properties, give it a density of 1020, hit tab. That should give us a total value for our mass of 265 inside of there. So that just gives you a quick way to build that model in IronCAD. Fairly easy to do inside of there, and nothing too tricky for IronCAD to do that, and just some ways to position geometry and features to get you what you need to build your geometry. Hopefully you enjoyed it. Thank you.